It's for real now.
It's working.
I'm gonna check this real fast.
Is it?
Keep just start talking.
Okay, Eli.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. So, what is one of the reasons you wanted to come on?
I always just wanted to come on once Sam and Dylan were like, "Oh, we got a podcast or we're doing a podcast," and it just seemed really, really interesting to do it, and I also just wanted to be part of the fun.
Ah, well, sweet. Thank you.
That's good. I don't know anything about you. I didn't know your name when I walked in, so
Yeah.
I actually will learn something today.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird with like Sam because it's like I was trying to like meta him the whole time and try to figure out what he was going to talk about. Like, I think he's going to talk about this thing or he's going to talk about that thing. So
Yeah.
it should be interesting.
All right. Well, what are some of the facets of your life? What
Oh.
makes up Eli Nettlebeck?
Oh well. I keep fish.
Ooh.
I have aquarium. Yeah.
Alex has got something to say about that.
Isn't saltwater fish? I know that you do sailing, but it's
Aiden, could you go check my audio?
Yeah.
I have quite a few fish tanks, and I think I have about 7, and I have one pond out in the backyard full of goldfish. But yeah, it's nice to do it because it's very kind of rewarding.
You have any pictures of these?
Well, one of my fish is in the tank over there.
Oh, that's true. We have a tank in the corner of the studio.
Yeah.
And Eli's contribute to that greatly.
I'm going to drop off some plants next time, Sam. I'm clearing out one of my tanks right now, and I'm running out of space. Aquarium pictures are hard to take, but
They are because of the glare.
if you're interested, this is my 75. It's a lot more populated than it looks.
Nice.
We'll just do like we said last time. We're gonna do an visual to audio transcription in the description, so you can like look down.
Timestamps it, yeah. Put some pictures. When did you get into fish keeping?
I don't know why it just happened, but one day I just kind of woke up and I'm like, hey, let's keep some fish. That seems pretty interesting since I had kept them before when I was really young. And I think I had a tank. It was really little. It was like 2 gallons, and there were 2 bettas on each side, and there's just a divider. And I think every day, one of them would get past it and just start fighting each other. And so one day, they just kind of both died on the same day. And it wasn't like from a fight because they're both dead on their side. So me being like 6, I just started crying. I'm like, they both died. They didn't fight. I don't know what's wrong with them. I'm just doing a really bad job. But I don't know. It was maybe I just woke up wanting to prove my 6-year-old self wrong.
I think it kind of happened with me. I used to have like a little Fluval 12-gallon. That's like they're the ones where like the top on the opening is kind of small. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to like clean them out. And I had it with some guppies and stuff, and I don't know. This did not. I don't know. It's probably like 12 or 13 or something. It went bad, and I was really sad about it. I'm like, I remember clearly, like I clearly remember the day. I'm like, this is rough, and I'll fix this some other day. And then a couple years later, I don't know where I got like a 29-gallon for free from someone, and it all started after that. I was at like 4 tanks at one point, I think, but not 7 like you.
Yeah. I mean, most of them, they aren't really my tanks, but they kind of are just because I maintained them. Because my little brother has a betta tank, and then my mom got one recently, and I escaped it, and we're going to put in some freshwater puffer fish.
Ooh, very nice. Pea puffers are
Yeah,
pretty
pea puffers. And
Pea puffers are just like tiny, like 1 inch.
Yeah, I don't have 1 inch. Yeah, little pufferfish are like freshwater. They're pretty cool.
I don't think they even blow up.
They're kind of finicky when it comes to eating.
Yeah, I'm when I'm getting them, I have a 2-gallon tank which I originally used for growing out a baby betta, and it's just completely full of snails. So I'm just gonna take some of those and then.
Oh yeah,
stick it
great.
yeah.
Live food.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I just like keeping fish because it's rewarding and it's just kind of calming looking at them.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
If I get any like water pet of any sort, it'd probably be an ataloxyl. Axolotl. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. I don't know. They're funny looking. They look like little Pokemon, you know.
Oh, cool.
And so, that's cool and all. But what about like a little Pokemon?
Sam, you gotta clean that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, okay, I changed the water last night.
All right.
Change the water. Still looking pretty.
Where you do live plants?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Some live plants.
More respect. I feel like I'm in it for the plants. Like I like the fish a lot, but
Yeah.
it's something I mean, it's satisfying seeing some fish grow, but seeing like the plants really grow and like thinking you're gonna get a blossom and stuff, that's very rewarding.
Yeah. Though, I mean, going back on what Aiden was saying, you also can't keep plants with an axolotl because they actually aren't very smart creatures. I wanted one for a little while and I did some research, and they aren't. They like eat rocks when they're
Read about that.
Food. And yeah. There's videos of them where food can just be kind of floating down, and then they move over to the opposite side of the food, and they just chomp at the water, trying to, because some of it is just.
I heard there's like a problem with like they get really sick if they're not in like the like pristine environment or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And they produce like a lot of ammonia, right?
Yeah. It also goes for a lot of fish. Some fish less than others. Like I have an angelfish, and I lucked out with him because he's a pretty hardy angelfish. So if there's like a little bit of fluctuation in the water, then he'll be all right. But still, I mean, the keeping the fish just gives me a chance to, I don't know, calm down, and then I also get to just kind of work on things inside of the tank because I always am able to better it. I'm always able to maybe rearrange some of the rocks in there, make the scape look as best as possible.
Yeah, there's always a plant that needs trimming or something like that, or something get cleaned up, or it's also fun too because like we walk on the beach like, ooh, I can get that driftwood and soak it, and 2 months from now it'll be perfect.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, driftwood is pretty good. I also have really wanted to get wood from I forget the name of the tree. It'll probably come to me later, but just take some branches off of it and then stick it inside of a tank after. I like boiling my wood because it's just faster, and I have been gluing some plants onto driftwood, and then it's been rooting. It's been looking nice.
I got a big piece of driftwood. I had a lot of nubus that rooted into it. It's nice. Yeah, boiling's definitely the way. I usually boil in the soak, but yeah, boiling does a lot for it. Yeah. So about like Meolia, like spiderwood, maybe? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, as spiderwood, it's manzanita wood. That's also a good one. But I also do have some spiderwood, which I put in there. So that's just one of the things which I really like doing. One of my faucets, as you say.
Your faucets, and that's cool that it relates to fish too, because faucet.
Yeah.
And as we all know, the key to keeping a good aquarium is just filling up a tank with tap water. And some animals in there.
Yeah.
So this might be a weird question, but why fish? Why wouldn't you just get a lizard? Like what?
Or like a hedgehog or something.
Oh well.
Whoa.
I mean, I did have a hedgehog. I had him for like 3 years, and then we didn't get very good food for him, or the food which we got wasn't very good for him, and so he was very fat.
Oh.
And he wasn't a very happy hedgehog either. So one day I just was kind of in my room. I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember him just coming out, just kind of sitting there. And then I went to practice, and then my parents said, "Oh yeah, he died." I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna keep a hedgehog for a while, just because they can be. I don't know. He wasn't very nice either, and he ejaculated in my hand sometimes.
What was the build?
It's like the warmth, I guess.
No, I mean, I gave him baths in the sink, so I'd fill it up with water, with warm water, and then I just kind of let him run around, and it would get some of the dirt and poop off of him because they tend to run around in their own poop, especially in their wheel. And he'd get all clean, and then I'd wrap him around in a towel, and he'd be in my lap, and then he'd just ejaculate. I'd be like, "What's that white stuff?"
Huh.
Interesting.
I'll make sure to write that down before.
Yeah. Further, just right. If you want a hedgehog, remember that you only want a hedgehog, because you don't like handling animals, because he isn't the best. It isn't the best of animal to handle either.
Why did you get a hedgehog?
It was
How'd that come
also
about?
just.
Was it like impulsive?
Yeah, it was kind of impulsive. I was like 9 at the time.
Point it towards you.
I was 9 at the time when I really wanted one, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that thing's so cute!" And then I think 2 years later, when I finally got one, I'm like, "Oh, this isn't as good as I thought it was gonna be." But yeah, I had a hedgehog, and I have fish right now. And I'm very happy with keeping fish.
You like I mean, for me personally, a lot of the fish stuff is having control over like the whole like interaction between the scape and the plants and the fish. I think that's kind of an important thing in the fish keeping community. For what Ian was asking, I don't know if that's
don't say
okay.
it. Someone's breathing into the mic.
No.
All right. I don't know, is that kind of like
Yeah.
yeah?
I also recently. So we had a big snowstorm, and everything was just freezing, and I have a pond outside with a bunch of goldfish, and the whole thing just froze over. I knocked down into it, and I think just about in the middle, that was when there was actual water or liquid water, and not.
Is it me?
Yeah, that's
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
I don't know how.
I'll move it away a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. The middle of the pond, that's where the only liquid water was in. So, I mean, I didn't have the chance to feed my goldfish for about 2 weeks, and it was kind of stressful, though I was also just like, it's fine, because goldfish can overwinter fine, and I've seen videos of people getting a goldfish. They put it in liquid nitrogen for like a few seconds, and then they put it back in warm water, and it just heats right back up and starts swimming around again.
All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're really really hardy creatures, though they also pee and poop a lot. So
Okay.
you have to clean up their tanks a lot.
And they're definitely not made for fish bowls.
Yeah,
Common
they
goldfish are not. It might be 19 cents. So that doesn't mean
Why?
why.
Why?
because
Yeah.
people feed them to their other animals.
Oh.
And
That's why they're
goldfish-
That's why they're 19 cents.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I was at a friend's house. It was before I turned 10, and they had a pet turtle, and they had gotten a bunch of goldfish, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why do you have so many goldfish?" And they're like, "Oh, we gotta feed our turtle." I'm like, "You have to feed your turtle live fish?" My mind my
boy.
mind wasn't exactly blown, but it was more like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't you feed things live things."
Now you're gonna feed some snails to your pea puffers.
Yeah.
It's I remember like junior year we had a little aquaponics thing we did for an engineering project,
Mm-hmm.
and Miss Kemp, the physics teacher.
Yeah.
You know, her turtle tank, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if the goldfish are still in there. But we had those 2 goldfish for a little aquaponics system, and we ended up just giving it to her, and we just put them in the turtle tank. And we're like, well, it's either going to eat the fish or not. And it was fun because we came back like next school year, and I had her class, and we would just watch the turtle chase around the fish. And I don't know if he's ever gotten them, but
No, he got
fish.
Oh, he got 'em.
Yeah, he got them.
they were there for a while.
She might have taken them out because I know that Miss Kemp's husband keeps.
Yeah,
fish.
aquarium, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember Miss Kemp saying she was looking at her new house with her husband, and then her husband's like, "Oh, this would be a perfect fish room." And yeah, my room is basically my fish room. And Sam has spent the night over at my house sometimes, and in my room, yeah,
It's so humid.
you wake up and there's condensation on the windows.
Yeah, I used to have 3 tanks in my room at one point, and yeah, I know the feeling.
Do you ever get stressed out over having that much or that many tanks?
Well,
Does it ever?
I know that fish, I know that they'll be okay because sometimes I don't do a water change and they're all right. I mean, yeah, I used to have. This is like towards the beginning. Towards the beginning of when you're keeping fish, everything just kind of dies and you don't know why, and it's just kind of trial and error a lot of the time. And I had this one aggressive fish with all these schooling rummy nose tetras, and it like bit one of the schooling fish's eyes out, and so now it hasn't died, so I have a schooling fish with one eye.
I have a blinky I have a little black neon that I've had for probably 2 years that's missing an eye.
Yeah. And it's just funny to kind of watch them because the whole school can go by and they don't see it until they finally turn around a bit, and they just swim all the way across the tank just to get back with them. And it must be very stressful living with one eye.
I remember, so Eli got me into aquariums a couple years back. So I had a couple, and or I have 2. I have the one in here, and then I have like one in my room, and my closet, I should say. And there's this it was called a bumblebee catfish that I saw at the store one time, and I picked it up. Yeah, I bought it, and it was just kind of this short little thing. It had some stripes on it. Thought it was pretty cool, and I put it into the tank, and I didn't see it for a couple weeks, and then I had like one sighting because it would just hide everywhere. If there wasn't anything in the tank, it would just hide under the dirt. It's like it was one of those kind of just very evasive. Like I don't know if it was like socially awkward or something. It just didn't like looking at me. But then I started missing my guppies. Like I would do a little head count of all my fish, and there would just be less. And so it just took forever before I finally figured out that fish that I never saw was eating all of my other fish. And I think that's the only fish that's still alive from that tank. It ate everything in there, and now it's massive.
And I have 2 little dwarf catfish. They're like 3 and 4 inches, 3 and 3.5 inches. A flagtail and it's one of the Ninja Turtles. What's his name? A Raphael catfish.
Oh.
And the flagpole or a flagtail, I had him in there, and I didn't see him for like 2 months. And then I started seeing a little more, and now I see him a lot. I see him maybe every other day, every third day. He'll be out just hanging out. But I put the Raphael in there. I didn't see him for like 4 months, and like I would kind of see glimpses of him sometimes under a leaf or under a rock. And then like a year later, my sister was like, "Alex, what fish is this? I've never seen this fish before." And it's like, "Oh, I put that fish in there like a year ago. He just likes to hide." You've seen him like twice ever.
Yeah. There a lot of catfish are very elusive. Yet they're also just really crazy too, because there's a type of catfish called a gulper catfish, and it can eat things like twice its size.
I saw some video. There was an aquarium I don't know, pretty big aquarium. I had a koi that took up almost the entire thing, just a massive koi. And there was this gulper catfish that was also in the tank, just kind of hanging out near the bottom. And all of a sudden, the gulper catfish comes up. It's like, yeah, like probably like half the size of the koi.
Yeah.
And one bite, and the koi is gone. It was insane, and the gulper catfish just grew.
It looks like it's like a pregnant woman where it isn't exactly like, you know, super fat. It's just a big bump in the stomach area. That's what it looks like.
You guys check upside down catfish? You know,
Oh yeah,
those are pretty sick.
Are they just catfish? But
they're catfish.
upside down?
They just swim upside down all the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they like you just like if you have to have like pieces of wood or rock, and they'll just like hang out on the underside of them, and they'll like swim around upside down and go somewhere else. That's all they are.
Imagine a person like that. Somebody who just,
Yeah, they just walk around like on their head. Just
They like to just go to the roof, just on the ceiling. You'll just see someone up there.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's it. They're like they're normal than that. Just kind of swim around, they eat some stuff. They do it all upside down.
Imagine if they just somebody said, why don't you stand normally, and it's like, because I'm upside down, and it's like, you better can you stand right for me? And so they try, and then they just both their legs just break from all the pressure of not ever standing on their legs.
I don't know. It's just what they do.
Oh, that's
They just
great.
swim upside down.
That's awesome.
Alex just showed a picture. Where'd you look up, Alex?
Upside down catfish.
Just look up upside down catfish, and you'll see
Yeah.
the upside down catfish.
It's so good.
Yeah. And then there's also this is more of a thing in like the South, but people go noodling for catfish, where
Oh,
they stick
I love that.
they stick like their arm into little caves, or I think sometimes their feet and legs, and they can catch a catfish. It just kind of grabs their finger, and then they pull it up, and they usually go like, "Woo! I just caught a catfish. We're gonna have some dinner tonight."
Yeah, so if you can imagine a whole bunch of like midlife crisis 40-year-olds kind of,
Well,
they
not
all
even
have
that.
like beer bellies and stuff. They get in, they get like,
They're missing a few teeth.
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You're like,
And
oh.
they go and normally it's like very muddy, very murky rivers, like if just the grossest environment. And then they go up to the riverbanks, they stick their hand in, they sit there, they kind of like shift around a little bit. Oh, that's the entire time. And then they grab one, and what they do is they stick their hand on their throat, they grab them by the gills, and then they just tear them out. It's hilarious. It's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, you gotta be really careful with catfish too, because I have a few corridors catfish. They're really small. They can get to be about 2 to 3 inches, and I never ever pick one up by hand, because on their fins they have little barbs, and if they pierce you, it feels horrible.
I know that, Corey's.
Yeah. And same thing with other like sucker catfish too. With almost all catfish, they have barbs, and you shouldn't pick them up.
Damien says noodling is a lot of fun.
Of course, Damien is.
I used to have a pond when we lived in Hawaii, and we had to drain it when we left. And actually, it was when we left. We lived on base housing, so you had free electric. And they're like, "Oh, you're wasting all this electricity on a pond," which, I mean, aquariums really don't go through that much electricity, you know, if they're running 24/7. But which is kind of funny, because like our neighbor just had a second fridge on their front porch, but we were it's like one of those glass face fridges. There's like a Coke brand one you see at like a store, right?
Yeah.
So it's like one of those on their front porch, and we were wasting the electricity, but we had to drain it, and we pulled out like some plecos that were like 13 inches long. They were crazy.
Yeah, and then the crazy thing is, you can like knock on their stomachs, and it sounds like you're knocking on wood.
They're insane, yeah. And those are like the big armored catfish.
Yeah.
People they don't know.
Armored catfish.
Yeah.
And they're the ones in aquariums that just stick to the side of the tank.
Yep. Or like people call them suckerfish usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they just get huge, and they just can't die. That's a big issue in like Florida and stuff.
Yeah, they're like overtaking rivers and lakes, and I watch a lot of fish videos, and I saw one of how plecos are kind of just pushing out the native wildlife. And there's just this one shot of just thousands of them just on the ground, just kind of swimming around, trying to eat scraps off. And they were huge. It was just really weird to see that many when you usually just see like one.
And they tear up manatee breeding grounds is a big issue for what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard they actually taste fairly good. They taste like catfish, but probably shouldn't eat a ton of them since they are bottom feeders. Got a lot,
Yeah. They eat a lot of them
Otherwise,
in
it means you shouldn't eat
South
them.
America. And people, like, they get... it's almost like you're chopping wood, almost, when you're trying to eat them. You just get a little hatchet, and then you take out the meat inside.
What's your,
Is it like actually armor, or is it part? Are
It's
they,
like-
are they really dense, or do
It's-
they actually have?
It's really, really hard scales.
yeah, I think they're just really thick scales.
Yeah. I mean, most catfish are actually pretty. Most catfish are armored, but there's also some other types of fish which are bottom feeders and aren't armored at all. There's scaleless bottom feeder fish like loaches.
I keep a lot of loaches, yeah.
Yeah, I had a clown loach for a while, and then it didn't have any scales. And what's really weird about them and some catfish is that they look like they're dead when they're sleeping, so they can just be on their sides.
Yeah.
And it's just really,
That's so good. You were saying Eli?
and it's just really weird because you're like you're getting that you put the net down in there because you think that they're dead, and then they just get up and then start swimming around the tank.
Yeah, I have a 3 dojo and I think coolies, I pronounce it, something like
Yeah.
that, loaches. And they just like, they noodle out all the time. They'll like lay in places that don't look right. And like, come on. And like my mom always be like, this fish is dead. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not dead. I know you think it's dead. Go tap the glass. It might move. No, but they'll like, it's funny because they're like, I don't know, like I have one that's like 8 inches long, probably the biggest one, maybe 7. And it will like, yeah, it's a pretty big one. And it's a dojo, but he will like lay just there's a little leaf right in the center of his chest and like just like make a little like upside down U and just kind of lay there for like hours.
Yeah, that is funny with a lot of bottom feeding
Little-
fish.
Yeah, for sure.
They just most of them are also nocturnal too, as are a lot of fish where they don't really get around and move until night. Sometimes I just kind of wake up and I just turn on my fish tank's lights to just see what's going on. And I just see some of them which I never see out, just kind of swimming around, being acting like some of the other fish during the day.
You ever watch those like videos where it's like saltwater tanks and people turn their lights on in the middle of the night? There's like a fireworm or a bobbit worm out, and it's like, oh no, get that thing away from me. It's like a foot long worm.
Ooh.
Yeah, and doesn't it have like little pincers?
Oh yeah, it's
on
little
its
pinchers,
mouth,
yeah.
too?
And they like if it's a fireworm, it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
If they bite you. They have neurotoxins. Yeah. So what happens is for a lot of saltwater aquariums, you buy like it's called live rock, which is it's like dead corals and like limestone and other rocks like that have like little bits of seaweed and little bits of microbes growing on it, which are really good for the water. But you'll get hitchhikers like little crabs or little snails or these worms, and they'll hide like in there, or they're just detritus eaters, so they'll just eat like little bits of food. And a lot of saltwater feed live food or like frozen food, so they'll eat all the extra food and like dead fish, and sometimes they'll go for little fish, but you won't know they're there. They'll hide in the sand, and then every once in a while you'll turn a light on at night and you'll see them, or like you're like stirring it up and it'll be released.
Yeah,
Don't keep salt water. It's not worth it.
One time I had a bunch of I had I think one of my fish, I'd gotten a new fish and I was trying to wean it off from live foods into fake, I don't know, non-live foods. And I had a really bad accident. I had this bag of blackworms, and all of them came out, and I meant to only get like a few, and they were just all there, just kind of squirming around, and all the fish at the, especially the bottom feeders, were just having a feast, eating all of them. But now sometimes if I put in some aquarium salt, all of them just come up, and then they just
All
start
of them.
wiggling around. All of them.
I mean,
And-
someone's probably eating them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. At least if they're feeding them, tank's feeding itself.
Yeah.
They're dealing with some of the detritus, and that's good.
Yeah. Though you have to do more water changes. because
That
you
is
have-
true.
You have to treat it like there's just more fish in there.
What's your like water change schedule? Do you have a standardized one, or you do kind of?
Well, I mean, I top my tanks off more than I just do water changes. I do it almost every 2 weeks, sometimes a week. If like I don't have a top for one of my tanks, so I always am just filling it up, and I kind of consider that as water changes because the water level is always going down, and so it's just a water change, a really slow water change.
I feel bad about breathing into the mic now. Yeah. Yeah. I have like 2 partial tops for my tank. I only have 2 tanks for right now, but I usually do like a 25, down to 25 once a week. It's pretty good. My 75 is real heavy fish wise. But yeah, fish cast.
Right. Yeah. All right. Next facet of life, Eli.
Oh, I mean, music. It's mainly just kind of stuff in band. I have been making some music on my own, like in Ableton, and I've been pretty successful so far. Though it's definitely a learning process, and it's very slow. But I play the trombone in band, and I like playing it very much, especially in jazz. But sometimes it can be very tiring because I'm in so many band classes. Well, we do marching band in the beginning and the end of the year, and we also have jazz band and normal band, and every month we just play. We have a concert basically. We always have one goal. It just gets a little tiring. I mean, I've been practicing a lot. Well, I've been practicing a lot recently because there's solo and ensemble coming up, and that's where people like play solos and duets and things like that, just so they could possibly go to state and then perform, and then I think
So it's like competition for music.
yeah, and then I think the prize is scholarships. But yeah, I've been practicing for my solo. I don't mean to sound like a downer, but I don't think I'm gonna go to state just because I haven't practiced enough. I know some people that definitely will go to state just because I can tell that they've been practicing.
Do you want the scholarship money? Is that one of the reasons you're doing it?
Well, it's also just kind of fun to do it. It's just good to get experiences, because I think when I grow up, I want to do something with music. I know that fish keeping is very interesting, and being a biologist might be very interesting, but music is just something that I'm a little better at. But scholarships would help out, especially if they're music scholarships to get into colleges.
What would you go to college for? Like, what would you study?
Probably jazz, because I really like jazz. It's very interesting. And though I've been learning music theory recently, since I played trombone, there are different clefs for different instruments. So the lower instruments like tuba and trombone, they play in something called the bass clef, and other higher instruments like flute, clarinet, and trumpet, they play in something called the treble clef. And so I've been learning treble clef recently, since treble clef is something used a lot more than bass clef. And then I've also just been learning chords too, and chord names, and yeah.
So you're practicing for the solo for tuba? Or no, sorry, trombone. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I didn't say trombone earlier.
Trombone's like the long tuba.
Yes.
Yeah.
How's like, how many, like how not populated or popular, but like competition wise, like how many people like at the school, like for North example, how many trombone players are there?
Well, I'm in wind ensemble, which is the other band, and there's one other trombone player.
'Cause I know, I know this girl, and she went to state for what's it called, French horn, but there was like 2 French horn players
Oh.
like that went to regionals or whatever, so it was kind of like okay.
Yeah, and then in the other class, I think there's about 4 trombone players, and it's only me and one of the other trombone players in the lower class, which is doing solo and ensemble. And I know for sure that there are other trombones from other schools doing it because, I also play in symphony, and we have a full brass section. I'm friends with all the trombones, and I know that they're definitely all doing solos. So there's a lot of competition.
So if anybody wants to listen to some trombone solos, head over to Solo Ensemble.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had a concert for symphony, and I personally think that I didn't do well, though a lot of other people are like, "Oh, you were so good." Though the thing with performing is that you always think that you didn't do very well, and then always like if someone talks to you and they're in the audience and they're always like, "Yeah, you did awesome. That was stupendous." I'm like, "What about that note in bar 5?" And they're just kind of like, "What? I didn't even hear that."
Yeah, it's I think it's with a lot of things where you have to get good at realizing just forgetting about your mistakes because people are gonna notice. I'm like this table, you're like, I think it turned out pretty good, but like I know that screw there's canted weird and like stuff like that. Where like you guys might not see it, but I know it's there and it's my my thing I created, and it's gonna bug me forever. But other people still enjoy it.
Since everybody's just listening right now, there's no video yet. Although there will be a video next podcast, most likely. Alex is pointing at a coffee table that he made for the studio, and it like matches the walls and everything. And I don't know, Alex, you want to talk about the table a little bit?
If you want me to.
Because I don't know, I just think it's an interesting story. The whole he was making this table and broke a saw blade.
Yeah. Okay. So the slab for the top of it, I set it all up to go cut all at the same time to get all the same lengths, and I pulled the circular saw I've been using a while, and I go to use it, and the wood just starts burning immediately. It's not really cutting, so that means the saw's just all dulled out. So I'm like, okay, I have to get a new blade, whatever. And I just cut it all by hand instead. But I'm like, what do I do? What am I gonna do with this saw blade? I'm like, I can do something cool with it. And I threw it in a pile of just like old scrap metal. And I'm like, I could use it in the table somehow. So I'm like, yeah, that'll be cool. So on the top slab of it, I carved out like an 1/8 inch indentation and have the saw blade inside of it and epoxied it in. It's kind of cool. Yeah, everything. Kind of out to the scrap theme because all this is all the scrap wood that I had laying around. Like this here, the only reason there's a curve to it is because it just had one already. Stuff like that.
It looks nice though. It kind of looks, I don't know, maybe not industrial, but it kind of seems like something that would be in a wood shop almost.
Yeah, I was just trying to match like the drafting table over there and stuff with the black iron or that back there with it.
Yeah, it really fits the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think it's like
There's
the aesthetic stuff
on the
Instagram. Yeah, the style's kind of it's like a I'm trying to think the best way to describe like what it's called. It's like farmhouse. So you'll call it farmhouse style, or reclaimed industrial or rustic. Like a lot of people will have like you see examples like they're like old like not like mine carts, but like I can't think what they're called. Like carts with like big metal wheels and like the table on top. Like that's like a big slab. I'm trying to think what they're called. They're not drifters. I can't think of what they're called right now, but like they look like they're supposed to be an old piece of like industrial equipment that has been turned into furniture. Kind of
Yeah. So yeah.
Casters. They're called casters. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's just everything you make. I mean, music. You make music too. I mean, it's the same idea where you make something and you know you screwed up somewhere, but other people can still enjoy it. But it's hard for yourself to enjoy it because of that.
Yeah. It always ends up like that after doing a performance. And another hard thing with performing is, you know, you are really in the moment when you're playing it and you're like, okay, this sounded decent. And then if you go back and listen to a recording of it and you listen to that part which you thought was decent, you're like, oh, that sounded horrible. You know, it's also just a lot of adrenaline sort of things. While adrenaline is a good thing to give you the chance to like really get into it, it also gets really scary when all the adrenaline is up there. Like when you're up performing, this happens to most people, or they just get pretty scared. And I've gotten pretty used to it over the years of playing, but it still can be pretty scary where you're playing a solo or you are in a big soli. But yeah, that's just one of the things about playing music.
Yeah, to put the cherry on top for like adrenaline, I was playing lacrosse one time and I was at the other side of the field a lot of times. I'm a defender, and so I have a really long stick. It's 6 feet, and I got the ball, and coach was yelling at me to just sprint down the field, just run, or the wheels, as they say. And so I'm sprinting down, and I'm cradling, which is when you use inertia to keep the ball in the pocket. So you flip your wrist up and down, and the butt of my stick, I guess I was going too hard. And I was really freaking out, and I was breathing really heavily, and I was flicking. And I moved my hand just a little down, a little too much, and I stepped over my stick. And then when I went to pull back my right leg, I got myself caught, and I tanked, and I just fell over onto the ground. It was really embarrassing. But, yeah, sometimes adrenaline can really get ahead of you.
Aiden will come back from lacrosse, and he's just covered in, like, welts.
You could see the different brands of sticks that hit me. Like, it'll just... You can tell, like, oh yeah, it's a short ball.
Yeah, that just makes me think of like when we were all younger in elementary school and we all weren't very coordinated. I'm not. Yeah, but I mean everybody fell off the playground. And I mean,
calling out Aiden for not being coordinated.
Yeah, jeez, Aiden. I mean, I remember falling off the climbing wall one time, and I was just face down on the ground, and then I got up, and I just started panting really hard, and everybody's like, "Are you okay?" I'm just like,
it's
yeah.
like
it's
it's weird how like I'm no one's special when it comes to like sports or anything, but like how coordinated you get when you get older, just by nature. Like 'cause there's a lot of times where like, how did I catch that? Like, I didn't think of, we just come with age, I guess, but it's bad though, where I'm at now at school, because I'll like drop a chisel and I'll have to stop myself from catching it. Like, don't catch that. Let it drop. Or like, drop a saw. I'm like, nope, just, yeah.
yeah.
Well, when you have 250-pound dudes running at you too with sticks in full armor, it's a little scary.
Yeah, your body just takes over, yeah.
Don't catch that. Don't catch that over there.
Yeah. Or another time, I was walking down my hall, and I think I broke my pinky toe because there's like a little shoe rack in it, and I guess
Wait, so there's a shoe rack in your pinky toe?
No, there was a shoe rack in the hall.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, and the my pinky toe hit the shoe rack, and it went at like a 90-degree angle, and it really hurt for like the next 2 months until... I mean, it doesn't look different, but in some spots it feels different than the rest of the toes.
Wait, so what does this have to do with adrenaline? Did you get like adrenaline
I don't know.
afterwards?
I just got caught up in the moment, I guess.
This is one of the parts of your life you're crazy adrenaline rushes.
Oh my gosh, I just broke my toe. Oh, this.
You guys have any? Yeah, I have like. You have any weird injuries, like little injuries that you just don't know where they're from?
Yeah, just like when you wake up and you're just like, did I have that scar before?
Yeah, like I have on my one ear can like go like that, and the other one can't. Like it's
Sorry,
broke.
what are you doing?
The cartilage right here is broken, so it like folds in, right? But this ear it's not. I don't know what it's from. Like it's just like a crack. I don't like.
Is it like an injury? Or is it like?
I don't know.
Like
I have no idea. The other ear doesn't have it though. And I asked my parents, my sister, like, is your right here have like a soft spot in your cartilage where it doesn't connect? And they're like, no, that's weird. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
So random injury. Have you guys like found random moles on you? And you're like, or freckles? You're like, where'd that come from? And you look in past pictures and they're there, and you're just like,
no, I've never
I've
had that.
oh,
I've had that happen to me.
I had one on my face that I saw just a couple days ago. I was like, that I don't remember that being there. That was never there. And I go and like looking at past pictures, it's always there. It's like. Maybe it was like, maybe we are in a simulation. That was just an update, and like one of the bugs was a mole on me.
Just, yeah, you go back, changed history.
Yeah.
Updated
It's just
like that.
yeah.
All right, next faucet.
Next faucet. I don't do very much. I guess the next thing is any typical high school boy is just memes.
Actually,
I
shout out to Eli for running our meme page. That isn't actually our meme page.
Canadian Christ.
yeah.
Canadian Christ is the meme page that I did in middle school. It's one of those meme pages where you post a bunch of memes that you just screenshot or whatever, and then follow people and unfollow people and follow people and unfollow people.
Nice.
Then we got up to like over 1,000 followers, and now Eli's running it because we figure we can get more people to we can like eventually maybe shout out the podcast or something with a bunch of inactive.
Yeah. Well, I've been like I think recently on Instagram there was a big like it took out all the inactive followers for all accounts. And so I know of some large accounts that lost about 2,000 followers because they were inactive. But we didn't actually lose very many. We only lost like 10.
So what classifies an account as not active?
Probably if somebody hasn't used it in over a year, that might be one quality. I'm not entirely sure how Instagram does it. Another thing that I might do is just like, of course, inactivity. But if the account is maybe not the account is suspended and it just hasn't been used in a long time.
I'm curious what their definition is, because I know with like the Twitter services where it tells you how many of your followers are bots, the thing that they go by is like, does this person post, and does this person like retweet or something or something like that, where it's like, well, some people might just use Twitter and look and not post or retweet, and might see if they can like. I don't know if they have like the access to know like what you like, if what you like for like that account, like an outside source would know.
Yeah. Do they have access to seeing what you browse?
But they could see if what you're posting. It could see what you're So I don't. Yeah. So I mean, if you could be browsing but not posting anything and not retweeting anything, and to them when you look inactive because you're not interacting with Twitter, but you might be still using it. See, I'm curious if Instagram's a similar way.
Yeah.
If you're not liking and posting, but if you're just looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Or if it's because I don't think a third party would know. Well, I guess Instagram would know if you're logging in or acting.
Yeah, well, and because isn't Facebook, big brother corporations, don't they encourage just kind of like the browsing and the stalking without liking anything?
I don't know.
Going to check see how your ex is doing, whatever.
You know what I was thinking though? I just saw this right now. I talking about meme pages. I feel like I should like re-download iFunny and see what my iFunny account was like.
Oh.
I feel like it was really bad.
Did you had an iFunny?
Yeah.
You posted on there?
Not a lot, but I know I had a couple things.
Oh no.
I remember I was like a part of this group of people that I was like really into Fallout at the time, and these like group of people that all have like a themed page after a Fallout character and stuff. I remember that. I don't remember.
Was it the Fallout 4 guy? The guy that was like...
No, it was before that. It was before Fallout 4. It was all like Fallout New Vegas characters.
Okay.
Damien says, it's something with big followers, I think. Many good accounts lost millions. Inactive is no posts, story or otherwise, for over 6 months. The account is banned or suspended and never reopened.
That's the thing is like, well, if I could be looking at, I mean, like I've been posting a little bit more on Instagram, I guess now, but there's definitely a year where I didn't post anything or even opened it to come back again later. Yeah.
Same with you, Sam. You went the entire year without posting.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything since 2017.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, but like I think there's plenty of people that don't post, but they look and they even be on there every day, but they just all they do is look at other people's content. So that's interesting. They go by that, just by, yeah.
That's what I did because I only recently did I post like a week ago, but before that I hadn't posted since August. Though I'm always on Instagram, and I guess it might be an unhealthy thing, but it also just keeps me kind of happy too. I don't know.
Sam.
You hit Sam bad on that one. I'm gonna re-download iFunny real quick and see if I can get into my account.
Sam Gretsch back on here. Talk about Instagram addiction.
Oh, God.
Oh gosh. I mean, I know that. I guess now that you say Instagram addiction, it probably has gotten bad though, cause recently I've started going on. I finished all my assignments early in English, and I just say, hey, I have a book on Google Play Books on my phone. Can I go on my phone?
Then you just go on Instagram.
Yeah, I just go on my meme account, or your guys' meme account.
Our medium account.
Our meme account. And I just groom it. I follow and unfollow. That's just what I do for the whole period. And then sometimes I look for memes too.
We're just sacrificing Eli's sanity so that we can have followers.
Right.
I mean, it's fine. But man, Instagram is just kind of this thing that takes up most people's lives, including me. Like, and there's just a lot of stupid accounts which people follow too. Like, if you go onto the Explore page, there are just a lot of accounts where it's like, okay, to get a like, you need to hit 8555. That is the pin, and then or it's like tap this in 0.256 seconds in order to get luck for 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't really quite understand Instagram. Like, pretty much my use of it is like maybe I'll post something like every month or so. I'm like, okay, so what I'm doing with my life, and this is cool. And then like my friend Sam Ward sends me memes that I usually don't understand because they're anime related.
Oh.
But I'm okay with that. Because it's like I watch like 2 shows and he starts sending me memes like it's like you would understand this if you're a real weeb and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, Sam, thanks. But like yeah, if you like, I guess the people I follow like people I know IRL mainly, and it's not like they don't post a lot, and it's not an issue for me. Like I don't use it a lot because there's not a lot of content that I want to see.
Right.
But yeah, other than like aquarium and like sailing stuff, which I follow on my other page, not my personal one, I go to explore and it's just this. I don't know. It's not even real content. It feels like sometimes.
It isn't. It's like all this stuff, kind of like, oh my gosh, this person hasn't shown his face and he's traveling the world. At midnight tonight, you have to go onto his story and he's going to explain why he doesn't show his face.
Or like it'll have like a screenshot of a tweet of a link, and it'll be like the tweet. I think I've seen this one so many times where it's like it'll say like Disney princesses with mental disorders, and there's a link to the article, but it's a screenshot of the link. And I've seen that same screenshot I don't know how many times.
What really grinds my gears is like the Snapchats, like when you go to the news section or whatever it is, just all of those, like people actually watch those, which really surprises me because most of them are really stupid. Like Fortnite's new weapon, Kim Kardashian's bubble butt. Like who gives a shit? Honestly, Kanye's new baby. Like great, that's fantastic. Somebody had a baby, but it does nothing for me, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Like
people love babies though.
What? Okay, yeah, I get that because it's like built into our selves to like babies, but I don't care. It's like with the new Apex Legends, it's a fun game. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. But some of the stories and the articles about it is ridiculous. How to get a drop pod in 0.5 seconds. I don't care. I'm just gonna play the game. And I don't know. It's
Well, it's someone
really
that's trying to make money through quote unquote journalism or something. But and like, what do they have to talk about? They have to talk about what people like, and I mean, there might not be that much content that they can produce because they're not a consumer of that media. Like, it's kind of like okay, well, we need to make money by writing an article about this game, but we don't play this game. We don't have the time to actually play this enough to realize what it's about on a deeper level, like how you actually like strategies or stuff. So we can write this article that's, you know, really surface level, but we can get it done in this.
right.
You know.
It's about the clicks though. It's like,
Yeah.
how many clicks can we get?
And people click on it?
Oh yeah, all the time. I hear a majority whenever I'm at like school, especially in my French class for some reason. People will bring up. I watched this one Snap story.
A bunch of freshmen?
Yeah,
Oh,
which makes sense, but it's weird. I don't understand. I don't understand.
They're fun because they're filled with freshmen.
I mean, my math class is filled with freshmen, and there's this one kid who just acts really weird, just kind of as a meme. And so I don't know how he makes sort of a dog whistle noise with his throat, and he just does that throughout the whole period. And I have a math class with Mr. Hoba, and he can't hear the noise, so he just does it all period. And then sometimes he moves his head, and he can make armpit farts with like by moving his head. It's really weird.
I had
Goddamn
Hoba for
Snapchat.
2 years, and I used to eat like pepperoni sticks in there, and Hoba would be like, "Ashley, stop eating those meat sticks." I'm like, okay. So at one point, I ended up just taping a whole bunch of them to the bottom of the desk, and you could smell them. I'm like, I'm not eating anything, Hoba. What are you talking about? Oh, by the way, I gave up trying to sign into my iPhone account. I have no idea what it was. I tried my email and a couple passwords that might have worked, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever getting that one back.
What a loss.
Mr. Hoba. He's just this old, really short man, and he isn't exactly. I don't know how to explain him. Maybe he just isn't smart or something, but
Let's not get too
he just
controversial
doesn't
here.
have any respect for his students. So like, I think on Valentine's Day, some girl got like a cactus as a Valentine's Day present, and he got mad at some other kid. And he's like, "I'm gonna take that cactus and make you sit on it because you are being bad right now." And then he calls out some of the girls too, and he's like, "Sit like a girl, not like a guy."
I think my favorite part about Hoba is that I think he spent most of his. I think my favorite part about Hoba is he spent most of his class like trying to facilitate, just like, he was trying to make things like things that he could commentate about happen. Like he would purposely put people that shouldn't be next to each other together. Like he would just have he had a big row in the back that he called, the front row called the Peanut Gallery, and he put like all these kids that should not be next to each other there just to get them to talk. Or like he put like there was two Coles with the last name that both start with F, and he put them right next to each other for the whole year. So he'd be like Cole F-O F-A, and he was just to mess with them and stuff. Or yeah, I don't know if he's actually there to teach or if he's there to try to just
I don't think he is there.
mess around. I don't think he's there.
The thing is, people do bad on tests, and then he gets really mad about it. He's like, "You should have done better on this test," and I'm like, "You should do a better job teaching."
How do you like feel about North in general?
I mean, I like it. Most of my teachers this year are just kind of weird.
Is it better than last year, you think?
I'm not sure.
So I definitely felt in high school every year got way better.
Oh, I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
What?
This year has been. I'm just not liking any of my teachers. Each one I find like a little problem with them, and it just bugs me. Maybe it's just because I purposely look for things to bother me.
Well,
but I just. Ugh.
I mean, I have some teachers like, Mr. Hoba, and then I also have some other teachers who just aren't very happy, and they let out their anger on their students. because you're unhappy. But I think that school has gotten better just because school kind of sucks when you're a freshman, and then once you're a senior, it's gonna get better.
Yeah, my thing with teachers, probably, I think the reason that teachers get better as you go up, or at least for me and Alex, I guess, is, for me personally, it's not because the teachers themselves have gotten better, but just because I've stopped looking at them as people. And they're just
And
like,
as
I don't even.
They're just
They're objects
after
that make
teaching
noise.
for so long, they just become like husks.
well, I think I definitely felt my senior year that all the teachers, their goal was to get the seniors out, and the seniors were okay with that. They're like, yes, let's do this. So it was always like talking about like, I don't know, it just felt a lot more social with the teachers. We were like, hey, let's just talk for a little bit about whatever. They're like, okay, sure, let's go for it.
Yeah.
We don't have to work. I'm fine with that.
It also
Like a bunch
It's
of
kind of-
gross humans
it's
in a
also
classroom.
kind of
Objects
bad
that make noise.
if a teacher is like, okay, let's talk to you guys, and then they talk for the whole period, and you don't do anything.
Oh, I love those periods.
Well,
They're so good.
it's nice because you don't do anything, but it's also like, oh man, there's a test coming up, so we aren't going to do well on this test because you just spent the whole period talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've liked school. I know. I mean, yesterday when I was in Bremerton, that was where my symphony concert was. I walked down to a gas station, and there was this student a couple of years ago that had died in like a fire, I think.
Mhm. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and there's just this big billboard in Bremerton that said, "My family is dead. Can you help me?" And it's like, you got the whole story wrong, because he's dead.
You can't be saying that because he's also dead. And I noticed, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because
So two people. Okay. That's like what there's some girl who was saying that her dad has these puts these ads around that say like, my dad buys houses, something like that, and they're all drawings, look like little kids drawings.
yeah.
And she's like, yeah, neither me or my sister drew those. We're both high schoolers, so I don't know. That's
All right.
funny.
What's where I mean, like, what else do you see about yourself that you think is kind of unique, or that makes you, I guess, for that? Not unique, because I mean, like, we're a bunch of fish nerds here for the most part, but it's still cool and sets you apart from other people. That's for sure.
I hang around people who are very similar to me, and that just kind of, I don't know, maybe it takes out some of the uniqueness of yourself if you hang around people that are similar like you, because then you start to lose touch with the unique parts. And so
What do you mean by that, Eli? Because when you hang out with people who are just like you, doesn't that really bring out those sides of you?
Because like I felt really good. I haven't talked about fish for real with people in a long time because
and it kind of makes that part of you die a little bit. Right?
yeah, well, I guess it's true. Like I haven't been inspired to do aquarium stuff in a while. I mean, I still I love my tanks, but I haven't been inspired to do new projects in a while with it. And I think a part of it is because I would have a lot of. I mean, I had some friends in high school that I would talk to about fish, and I don't see them anymore because But I think part of it was the fun of talking about your new project you do and stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, I meant like you talk about the same things with your friends, and I meant what you said but reverse, basically. So you hang around somebody and then you lose some of the unique parts that which you don't talk about.
Okay, so things other than what you have in common. All right, I see that.
So I mean, I mainly said some of the things that I am unique about, like music and fish, though I guess some of the things that might make me unique is just maybe I'm an introvert, and I'm
Okay, go on.
I don't know. even though it might not seem unique, I'm gonna come home after this and gonna be so drained, yet it's also gonna feel really good after talking a lot.
It definitely.
Is that like your subtle way of trying to end the podcast?
No.
Like, Dylan
That's
Dylan
I used to be.
Well, we're done.
Well, that was a good ending.
Okay, yeah. So I used to be way worse when it came like public speaking isn't the worst for me. I think I'm okay at it, but I used to be pretty bad when it came to talking to people for a long period of time. Or I was getting in a situation where I would talk to some people for like maybe like 6 or 8 hours every weekend, and I loved it, but I would be completely drained after it and just like die and fall asleep right afterwards. But I think it's definitely I'm better at it now.
Yeah.
And I can get away with going for longer and staying stronger while talking to people in a long bit. But yeah, it's definitely I don't know. I think it's not that you're unique that you're introverted. It's that a lot of people don't get the chance to talk enough to realize they realize that they have social fatigue, and yeah, that's why I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I see that. I know my brother. Whenever we go to like a gathering, he's always dead afterwards. He just like the whole next day, he just will stay in bed.
Yeah, I didn't know for the longest time that I had that I would get social fatigue if I talked long because I never had a chance to.
Don't you feel a little invigorated after like a long social gathering, Sam?
That's an extrovert thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't get that.
You don't get that?
No, I've never heard of this. I'm trying to see if I can relate to it, but I haven't had
I think
that.
a lot of people just don't have the opportunity to realize either way.
Maybe.
They don't talk enough in person. I mean, it's really an in-person thing, I think. If you can talk to someone on like over the internet for a long period of time. I don't think it's equivalent.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, I guess one of the things that does, I guess, make me unique as a person is that I really like animals, I guess. Might be one thing because I'm
I think you have to phrase it differently.
It's not about
Yeah.
you. Sorry,
I
it's not
love
about unique.
animals.
It's not about unique.
What makes you you? But also, so rephrase the question. But also, Eli's the kind of kid who would. I remember in elementary school, he always had these massive books of just different kinds of animals in different places and that sort of thing. So I don't think it's just that you like animals.
You like to study them, or
Yeah.
because I think there's a lot of people like, oh, I like dogs, but there's also people like I really enjoy like looking at it scientifically and learning about. I don't know.
How man and dog cooperate.
Yeah, like
on another level.
the science behind it, or I don't know, the psychology of it.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Do you have interacting with your dog?
Dog
You
psychologist.
should think about becoming a dog psychologist.
Dogologist?
Yeah, so back to the initial point. Eli, you're a dog psychologist, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a dog psychologist.
Dog psychologist.
Can you tell me why people like to, furries like to use wolf with a U more than an O? Do you
What?
understand?
What?
Like,
Woof.
that's why I don't know why, but like, cause like,
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen furries go WUF.
WULF, wolf with a U. I was watching a lot of like cringe subreddit compilation stuff where people like just go through like cringy subreddits and just read posts off of it and like stuff like it seems like that's a really common theme. But like from your whole dog psychology background, can you explain any of this?
Oh gosh, I mean,
Not to put you on the spot. I know you're still
Oh.
training, but
oh yeah, I guess maybe it's just, I guess maybe it's less of a dog psychology thing, more of a human psychology. Thinking, why do you think it's okay to identify yourself as an animal? Because you are a human.
Absolutely not.
I thought it was. If you're. Why are dogs making themselves look like humans? Why are dogs?
I think they're dogs that are trapped inside of humans,
Oh.
but they associate. I think they're actually wolves sold to you trapped inside of humans
Okay.
that are born from humans, and
And they're really horny.
this
too.
is it's a furry hate podcast now.
This is the furry podcast.
I don't know. I just
everybody.
wanted to ask you if
Rawr
they knew
XD.
why you use it. Why a lot of furries use a U instead of a no. I don't know. I just
Damn.
I don't know. This is why
It's-
like. I just wanted to talk to. I haven't talked to anyone in like 2 days, and I've been wanting to ask someone this question. Does
also-
Damien? Do you know?
It's also another one of those things where it's like different things that people like if some people that really like anime use terms like otaku and hentai normally. I don't-
Aragacha.
I just, when he said I really love animals, I just thought of furries, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you should probably not say it that way.
I really love animals, everybody, and I'm also
So, I just-
really
yeah.
horny.
Okay.
All right.
We're done with this. I'm
We're done
sorry.
with that conversation.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna move on now.
Okay, so like, it's not uniqueness, but what are just parts of any other?
Alex.
Someone else can talk.
Yo, you're really
I
fucking.
understand.
Oh.
Someone else can talk, I guess.
Okay. So I think we should just wrap this up. I wasn't planning on this being a particularly long podcast anyway, right?
Huh?
Unless there's any other faucets that you want to talk about, Eli.
No, it's I got pretty much I got most of them.
What a solid ending. That was, that was intense.
All right, thanks, guys.
So you can follow Eli at where?
Canadian Christ.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's Canadian Christ, and then I have an Instagram account called Nettlebecky. So yeah, I'll just show you mine.
All right, thank you so much.